While multiverse movies have been out for quite some time, it didn't seem like it started to become a noticeable trend until Enter the Spider-Verse came out a few years ago. We got a few last year, we were originally scheduled to get like 4 this year, but now we're getting 3 instead. The first one of the year is called Everything Everywhere All at Once, and it's made by Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, aka the Daniels. These two are known for their directorial debut, Swiss Army Man, which I would recommend to everybody. It's weird, it's funny, and it's a great story about being human. They also directed the widely popular music video Turn Down for What, which can give you a great sense and an idea of the type of humor and tone that the Daniels go for. They even made like an interactive short with multiple endings and multiverse stuff called Possibilia. So these guys are not just hopping on the multiverse trend. They were waiting for their opportunity to make something big. I think this is one of those movies that might be super fun to go in without knowing anything. You might have a blast. You might also end up saying, what the fuck did I just watch? Michelle Yeoh plays Evelyn, an immigrant mother who owns a struggling laundromat. There are also tensions between her and her family, and the day her and her family go to the IRS, her entire world flips upside down. She discovers about different multiverses and what she has to do to save her own universe. Now, the Daniels may already be known for their wackiness and their humor, but I think this is the movie that will give them a lot of recognition. For some people, this movie can appear as something that is just wacky and weird and audacious just for the sake of it. And there are a lot of movies like that, and they can get pretty tiresome pretty fast. However, I thought this movie was far more clever with its absurdity and humor. There are many jokes and gags that I was not expecting to be a setup or foreshadow certain scenes cleverly. Plus, this movie has a lot of heart, which is something other movies like this do not have. Some of my favorite moments in this movie don't even involve the action or the weird, funny moments. They're just moments where our characters are expressing emotions that can feel relatable to a lot of us despite the craziness that's going on in the movie. Overall, the script balances the tone very well between action, humor, and serious moments. It touches on generational family struggles, it touches on being an immigrant, also touches on responsibility, while there's still a bunch of laughs that they just throw in throughout the film. But nothing feels out of place for me. I think it's just really impressive in general. Now, I do think, at least the first time watching it, the entire first act can feel a little overwhelming. There's a lot going on, which does a good job making you feel overwhelmed with Evelyn. It's just a lot might go over your head. It might seem like a bit too much. However, on a rewatch, it did not bother me as much. I thought it was just really impressive writing, acting, and editing all together. And even after that first scene, there is later on a good amount of exposition, which feels a little trite. Definitely feels like a lot, like you might miss something. But once you get the groove of things, once you start to understand a little bit more of the rules in this movie, things feel a lot smoother. Again, this wasn't as much of a problem during my rewatch. Maybe it was just me, thought it was a lot going on in the first act. Eventually, it didn't bother me anymore, so who knows. Even though the movie is aiming for a scope or a size of a blockbuster, it does a really good job on feeling condensed and small, still like an indie movie. There isn't a whole lot of noticeable CGI, so the effects in this movie really feel practical. Stuff like that always adds a charm to the filmmaking aspect. I also have to give credit to the editor, Paul Roger. Him working with the Daniels seems like a great trio together. There's one scene that involves a head spinning, and it's used cleverly with the editing that doesn't rely on CGI. Also, the jumping between different multiverses never feels messy or confusing. It's all coherent. The action and the choreographing for those action scenes are done super well, and the sound mixing goes great with a lot of things in this movie. And some of the smaller scenes, even if a character is just moving their arm, you can hear a little swoosh sometimes. I think it's just a nice little sprinkle on top to intensify the action, intensify the little things. It also seems like the action might be sped up. I'm not entirely sure, but it looks like it's sped up, but it looks like it's done necessarily to help make it feel a bit more exciting, a bit more intense. The choreography is still really hard to do even if it's in real time, so it's really impressive to watch. And it's things like that that really add a lot of personality to this film, which I think the Daniels have. I do think a couple scenes in the IRS building could have probably used a bit more lighting. It just seems a little bit darker to me, or it might have something to do with the color grading. Maybe it's also the screens, I don't know. Other than my tiny ass gripe, the lighting that they use in this movie is wild. While lighting can help with your tone and mood, the lighting in this movie is used really creatively as a part of the special effects. Also, the costumes are really fun. Stephanie Hsu wears a lot of crazy stuff. They're creative and outrageous just to make the movie a little bit sillier and show the scope of how these characters change to different multiverses so quick. The Daniels have said this is their Matrix, and you can definitely see influences from that. There's a kung fu master, like someone you'd see in maybe something like Clan of the White Lotus. There's a reference to an iconic sci-fi film, and another one to a very good animated movie that I don't want to spoil. Chunk of the movie is paying homage to Wong Kar-wai's In the Mood for Love, and those scenes have my favorite parts in the movie. They're quiet, and it's probably some of the most tender moments between our two main characters. But really, this movie is a love letter to Michelle Yeoh, and she is fantastic. Yeoh is known for doing martial arts films early in her career, and this movie definitely recognizes her for her talents. We are introduced to Ke Huy Quan. You might have seen him from The Goonies or Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. He retired from acting, and then he came back after the success of Crazy Rich Asians, which also features Michelle Yeoh. And Quan might have given my favorite performance of the year so far. He'll switch back between different personalities from other multiverses in one shot. His stunt work is insane. I had no idea he did martial arts. He shows a lot of innocence with this character. He also is involved with probably my favorite scene in the entire movie, which I obviously will not give away, but I really hope we get to see more of him. The entire cast is balanced as well. No one ever felt underused. Stephanie Hsu kills it in this movie. It looks like she's having a lot of fun. She also has a lot of great tender moments that I think a younger audience might be able to relate to. James Hong is always awesome, and he is awesome in this movie. While he obviously cannot do some of the action that Quan or Yeoh are doing, he's still used cleverly, and he never felt like he was half-assing it. This guy is like 93, and he's doing amazing work. What a cool guy. Also, Jamie Lee Curtis is in this movie a lot more than I was expecting. I thought she would only be in maybe like 1 or 2 scenes, but she plays a key role in this movie. She's always down to do crazy work. You can definitely tell she's having fun with this character. It's definitely different from anything else I've seen her do. This movie might be too random for some people, and I definitely agree. It is a quote-unquote random movie. I still think the humor is fun, crazy, and clever enough to get a good laugh out of the audience. It appears as if a lot of it is done practically, and it's done creatively as well. I can already see this as a movie that's probably gonna age well. Some scenes are a tiny bit darker than I'd like them to be, and the exposition can seem like a lot, so it can feel overwhelming at first, but I also think that it kind of fits that idea of a lot is supposed to happen. Evelyn is feeling overwhelmed by this. We should probably feel overwhelmed by this. Again, I didn't really have this problem as much during a rewatch. I'm also curious if anybody else felt that way during their first watch. Once we get into the groove and rhythm of things, it is a blast to sit through. Everyone is incredible in this movie. The chemistry is great. They do really well with the action scenes, and the dramatic, heartfelt moments are really tender and well done. Those serious moments are the big standouts for me. Those scenes touch on a couple things that I think a lot of people can relate to. Even some of the humor I think some people can relate to. Again, I don't want to spoil some away, but there are little moments where some people might be like, yes, I have understood situations like this before. Go ahead, check this out when you can. I promise you it is something you have not seen before. I can't wait to see what the Daniels do next. Hopefully we don't have to wait 6 years for their next one. However, the Daniels have a lot more fans now. I'm pretty sure some studio is gonna want the Daniels to do something pretty soon. The Daniels almost did Loki, but then they did this movie instead. I want them to do more original stuff. I don't want them to get involved with any IP stuff. Even though it might be cool, I want to stick with original stuff. I guess we'll have to see how the other 2 multiverse movies do. I'm sure they'll be unique and different and fun in their own ways, but so far as multiverse movies go this year, the bar has been set to a high standard. As of right now, I'm going to give this movie a 4.5 out of 5. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching if you made it this far. Have you seen Everything Everywhere All at Once? Let me know what you think below. What should I review next? If you liked this video, you can like, comment, share, subscribe. I think that's it. So, again, thank you so much for watching this. Make sure you exercise every day. Make sure you drink your milk, and have a great day.